German airline Condor are about to retire and scrap their Boeing 757-300s, so let's go and take one last flight before they do. This example was built in 2000, making it 25 years old. One thing you can't deny is this is a very unique livery. The Condor rebrand has been done really well. They call them stripes, but I think of them more as ribs. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Boarding was a bit of a mess here in Palma. The screens displayed all boarding groups, so I went forward to board and got rejected, with my poor man's group 6. Apparently the boards don't mean anything and I need to listen better. Anyhow, I ended up almost last on, which really pleased the couple that were sat next to me as I clambered into my window seats. You do really get a sense of how many seats are on board when faced with almost 300 holidaymakers staring back at you. The 757-300 is a tight aircraft, perhaps overstretched when it was built, and it's quite hard to move around when you've got 275 passengers in a single aisle. I've gone for seat 20F, which is just in front of a missing window row, so if you want to fly this, bear that in mind. Being last on, it wasn't long before the safety demo kicked in and it was time to push back. This video seems to hark back from the Thomas Cook ownership days.
Wände müssen jederzeit freigehalten werden. Bitte öffnen Sie die Gepäckfächer vorsichtig, damit nichts herausfallen kann.
And with our engines started and our flaps configured for takeoff, let's head to the runway.
Flight deck 0 Captain speaking, my name is Jörg Knob. I welcome you on board this Boeing 757-300 on behalf of the entire crew.
24 right for takeoff, opposite to where I'd landed a few hours earlier. If you do want to watch the full unedited takeoff and climb out, there's a link just in the description. We take off towards the coast and it's not long now before we're over the Mediterranean. Our routing sees us turn left, heading east over the south of the island before turning north towards Germany. The cabin itself is actually quite familiar. The fit out is similar to that you see on the 737NG, as they were developed around a similar time. Lights, call bell, air vents, all in the usual spot and of a familiar design. Legroom was fine, it's quite tight. The seat pocket is a bonus, but I'm not sure how practical it is. And the table is compact but functional. Entertainment is on demand through your own device and is available. Although I found this a little bit temperamental, I did get it working near the end of the flight. There's plenty of reading at the seat too. I made a dash for the loo once the seatbelt sign had turned off. There's nothing too fancy inside, although the metal sink is a bit of a giveaway to the aircraft's age. It's perfectly functional and a tad larger than what you'll find on the next generation aircraft like a 737 MAX or A321neo family. You can see the aisle here is kind of crowded. Before long we make land around Marseille and I spot the Paul Ricard circuit. Would anyone else like to see this back on the F1 calendar? Now kudos to the pilots here, they gave really good updates on the routing, where we were, what we could see out the window. It's what I like to hear when I'm flying. Fun fact, our takeoff weight today is 103 tons and our cruise is 36,000 feet. BrewDog seems to be the go-to airline collab beer these days, and Condor is no different with 3 choices available. Now I fully intended to try all 3, but unfortunately they only had the lager on board and they'd also run out of pretzels on the outbound leg. As beers go, it wasn't half bad, actually quite nice and on brand. I just wish that I could have tried the rest. As we crossed the Alps and Zurich Airport, what's special about this aircraft then? Well, this was Boeing's attempt at stretching a solid aircraft in the 757-200. You can see on screen just how much longer this aircraft is compared to the OG, about 7 metres, and you can cram in around 280 passengers in its maximum density. There's just over 50 more in those 7 metres, and that translates to about 8 or 9 extra rows of seats, which makes this the longest and highest capacity single aisle aircraft ever produced. All those extra seats mean the 757-300 has 12 emergency exits. That's the same as a 747, and at least 2 more than on the standard 200 model. So with only 55 of these built compared to over 900 on the OG model, what went wrong? Well, as you've seen in this video, it's hard to make a single aisle work with so many passengers. It takes longer to board versus a 767 with comparable seat numbers. It takes longer to service the passengers with only 1 aisle versus 2 available. And there aren't many short to medium haul routes that demand this many seats. On shorter routes, turning your aircraft around quickly is key. This super long aisle doesn't help with that, so airlines would just use wide bodies, 767s, A330s for example. The flexibility of a wide body then, to be able to go and fly for 10 or 12 hours on a longer route, couldn't be matched with the 6 or 7 hour range that this aircraft has. So it never really found a mass market niche, and was only really useful for dense holiday routes like this one, or shorter feeder traffic routes into the hubs in the US. Why is it being scrapped? Well, it's 25 years old, and Condor is in the process of renewing their fleet. They've gone for an all Airbus option. They retired their Boeing 767s last year, which have a common pilot type rating with this aircraft, and replaced them with A330neos. The 757-200s have been replaced with A321neos, so these are the only Boeing type that are left. Obviously, being such a niche aircraft, no manufacturer has designed a like-for-like replacement. Condor's A330s are about 35 seats more than this one, and their new 321neo is 40 or so less. Perhaps what we'll see then is a right sizing in their operations and available seats on routes like Palma to Frankfurt. Demand fluctuates throughout the year, so perhaps they can better accommodate that with a different range of aircraft. We're landing today on runway 25 centre. In an extra treat for us today, we're coming in on a bus gate, but I think I'll hang around a little bit longer yet. Here's another look at those seats. I'm in the forward premium economy cabin now, where the middle seats are usually blocked out, and up here you'll find complimentary drinks and I think a light meal on some flights too. A big shout out to Captain Julian for being incredibly welcoming and warm into the flight deck. Unlike the Jet2 757 that I flew last year, Condor never upgraded their flight decks to glass cockpits, and all the original instruments remain. Now, I always sound like an excited kid meeting Mickey Mouse in these sort of situations, but we had a good chat about 757 operations and the impending retirements, and of course, a few photos. Anyway, I spent far too long enjoying myself, so I had to make a dash to get onto the bus to the terminal, facing 200 or so angry holidaymakers that I kept waiting. Thanks again for the patience, guys. If you want to fly on this rare aircraft, you've got until around mid-November this year. I managed to pay only €50 and maybe €11 for the seat reservation, booking the day before. I hope you enjoyed the video, thanks again for watching, and we'll see you next time.